Good morning. I apologize for my appearance. I was just doing my workout and then I completely forgot I was going to do my video, and so here we are. So today I want to talk about friends again. This time the topic is more along the lines of, won't you be my friend? And the reason for this is because the other day I went to a birthday party for a friend of mine. She, threw out this whole party, had all of these friends show up, and at some point during the evening I heard her greet somebody at the door and said, "Oh, my best friend is here." And that got me thinking. Now, this is not anything against her, and this is not against anybody that I know. This is just what got me thinking. I don't know if I've ever been greeted at the door with, "This is my best friend." To a group, to a single person, to family, to whatever, just in general. But I hear a lot of people talk about their best friends. And so I want to talk a little bit about it because I feel like there might be more than one point of view to this. And please feel free to leave your comments on what you think it is, because I'm sure we've all gone through this at some point. Now, I do remember while I was going through elementary, junior high school, like that whole, I forgot what that word is called, but anyway, that whole schooling phase prior to college. Primary school. There we go. Primary and secondary school, I remember that I had somebody who I always introduced as my best friend. We hung out all the time, we were really close, and from what I remember, I might have been introduced once or twice. But it's not a very clear memory, so it could have just been wishful thinking, and I don't want to rely on that. And then college, I met this guy, we're really good friends, we hung out all the time, we were workout buddies. We named this little piece of muscle a chicken wing because I thought it was funny. And we had some good times, and then I've met the woman who's my maid of honor for my wedding, and ended up making friends with a lot of my sister's friends because I was their chauffeur for the longest time, to the point it was like, you're just an honorary friend by this point, and I feed everybody, so that's usually a good way to make friends. But I don't know that I've ever been introduced as best friend. And this bothers me a little bit for a few different reasons. One of them is it makes me think back to the days when I was in primary school that I was picked on and bullied a lot, and I felt like I didn't have any friends, period. And it's a really hard thing to deal with, feeling like you don't have any friends. And another thing that's brought this up is that everybody's posting their lovely back-to-school pictures for their kids, the kids that are going to school for the first time and all of that good stuff. And there's a mix between all of the parents who are really excited for their kids and they're coming back and they're having a good time, or they're really nervous about dropping them off for the first time. And then there's a whole other side of it that breaks my heart, which is all of the kids that are being bullied. And I identify with that so much because I remember that. I used to time the bus. I specifically made sure I had a watch so I could time the bus so that I would get to the restroom right before it came around visibly around the corner, because then they wouldn't let me go to the restroom. And I would wait, because I knew how long it took, until they left to get out just in time to be like, "Oh, I missed my bus." Because I didn't want to sit with those kids on the bus because they were really mean to me. And you might think I might be exaggerating. I had perfume sprayed in my eyes one time on the bus. That was just one thing that happened on there. Like, it was pretty bad. But my point is, it makes me think back to those times when I hear people introduce their best friends. And it makes me kind of wonder, and it can do a couple different things to me. One of them is, oh, that's really nice, and I want to hear their stories. Another thing it does to me is it makes me think back and makes me wonder what I did wrong to not be able to be introduced that way. And that is a very, very dangerous spiral for me, because it will throw me down so far, because it hurts to feel like I did something wrong. And like I've been mentioning, I've been doing a lot of working on me, making me better so that I don't feel quite so bad anymore. And part of that is not letting that happen anymore. So instead of just letting it go out of control, I was talking to my husband and just like letting him know. I was like, it's a weird thing that comes up sometimes, and I don't know quite what to do with it. And here's the thing, I think that being somebody's best friend is kind of an in-the-moment thing, and a kind of during certain phases of your life thing. So when you're in elementary school and you're little, everybody's your best friend. I remember that my sister used to come up to my mother, like, everywhere we went, like, give her 5 minutes, she'd run up to my mom and go, "This is my new best friend. I just met her. What was your name again?" And that's that phase of our life where everybody's our best friend, we're all, like, having a good time. And then you get to, like, the junior high school phases where if you do have a best friend, it's very particular for reasons that, like, you can tell them secrets, you can go hang out all the time, and you have them for this very specific reasons that this is your best friend, and it's only ever one person usually. Sometimes it's two, but it's usually just one. And then you get to college, and nobody really says best friend very frequently anymore. And it's usually the people who remained their friends after high school. Because if you remained friends after high school, that's kind of a big deal. Because, let's be honest, I don't talk to a lot of people that I went to high school with. For obvious reasons, for distance reasons, and all the reasons. But most people who refer to their best friends are people they've been friends with from that time, because that transition is a really difficult thing to do. Now, I know that I always hung out with, like, that one friend in college. Well, I spent time with other people, but this was the guy that I would call and we'd hang out and we'd have a good time. And I learned how to be vegetarian because, oh my gosh, it's difficult to feed this guy. And so we hung out all the time, and in my mind, that was my best friend, because that was the guy that I could call up. I remember getting drunk on wine and just, like, talking about all things that were bothering me or things that were going on, and talking to him about the guys that I was dating and so on, and we were really good friends. And then when it came to the wedding, I asked, ironically, his girlfriend, who's another good friend of mine, to be my maid of honor. And that was because I was looking at, like, qualifications, like who was going to be able to throw the good party, who's going to be able to, like, show face in front of my family. And let's be honest, sometimes you know which friends they are that you're like, I really don't want you to open your mouth in front of my family sometimes, just to be safe. But just, like, thinking about all the things, I knew she could handle it. I knew she'd be really excited about it, and she ended up doing an amazing job with all of it. And he helped for sure, and he was definitely one of my bridesmaids, but I asked her to do it. And that's usually reserved for your best friend. And so it makes me wonder, maybe I am somebody's best friend, but in certain aspects of their life. So one of the things that my husband loves to say is he'll say, "You're my best friend, but don't tell Logan." And he says this because Logan is his best friend. He's the guy that he was his best man at the wedding. He went on his bachelor party with him, like, planned all of this stuff. They're the ones they always go and hang out. They have that whole, like, if they get together for hours at a time. They go fishing, they hung out, they have all the crazy stories from college and how they met in high school. And they know each other very well, and they're really good friends. They're best friends. And he says this, and it makes me laugh, but it got me thinking. It's like, we could both be in different areas of his life. So for, like, camaraderie, like going out and talking and, like, sharing things, he is his best friend. But it was explained to me kind of, like, by my parents, like, when you get married, you have to marry your best friend. And in a way we did, because we get along really well, we do share everything with each other. It's more intimate and personal, and there's things that, like, I know that maybe Logan doesn't know, and it's probably due to, like, the whole intimacy of a marriage kind of thing, but we have a slightly different relationship. We're growing together, we'll hopefully eventually raise kids together, and we have to get along, and we do get along, and so we're different kinds of best friends, and it makes me a little bit hopeful and happy that I'm sure somebody somewhere says that I'm their best friend, and it makes me really happy to think about that way. And so what could have been a really, really bad experience for me, spiraling again and hearing that and starting to question myself, I decided to turn it on its head and think, maybe this isn't as black and white as I think it is. And so I wanted to share this because I'm sure there's somebody out there who might feel the same way that I do, who questions these things the way I do, or feels uncomfortable, or maybe is just looking for a good friend. Because let's face it, when you're an adult, it's a lot harder to make friends than when we were kids. And I'm not 100% sure why that is. I'm pretty sure it's because we all have that mad don't talk to me face all the time when we're out places. But if you're out there and you're looking for a friend, drop a comment. I really don't think my vlogs are going to be that far out there, but if it is, you never know. Maybe somebody else nearby is needing a friend, and there you go. I hear sometimes how these people meet their best friends, and it's crazy. Like, from trying to steal something in a vending machine and fighting over it to, well, we laughed about this because this happened at school, to I didn't know what I was doing and they helped me out in a hard time. Best friends are quite something special, and it doesn't have to be exclusive, and it doesn't have to be forever sometimes, which is really sad to think about, but that's kind of part of growth. That guy that I used to hang out in elementary school, he will always have been my best friend. Maybe not the best friend in the world to me at the time, in hindsight, but at the time, I thought he was my best friend, and we did hang out a lot and get together and do a bunch of stuff, but it flickered and faded to what it is today. And then my new friend from college is still one of my really good friends, and dare I say best friend. And so is his girlfriend, who they're still together, who was my maid of honor. And it's not as exclusive as I thought it was, and I think that's part of growth. So if you're looking for a friend, let me know. I'd like to be a good friend to you, and dare I say, best friend. Thanks for listening.